SEC tournament's a little bit different. Some teams are going in trying to make the field, and others are, have really nothing left to prove. Where do you kind of see your ball club, and what's kind of your approach to the week?
We're going there to play good baseball all week long. So, for us, the more we win, the better situation it puts us in. We're, I want to go into regional play feeling good about our team and feeling good about the way we're playing. We won't probably push pitchers and put them in bad situations, but hopefully we set up now that we have the bye to where we can go out there and compete every game, and hopefully we're playing there at the end of the week.
Next, we'll go to Tyler Horka.
Chris, just along the lines of playing good baseball, how big was this past weekend at Alabama? Just given what happened the week before with Missouri, it seems like you guys rebounded really well, and that's obviously what you want to do going into a tournament like this and in the postseason in general.
Yeah, we play good. We pitch good. We defended good. We play good. We're back in a national seed. So that's, those are the big things right now. Obviously, we want to win the SEC, and we were disappointed the weekend before. But nothing we can do about it now, and our kids bounced back and played well. And looks like, what we did last weekend put us in a really good spot just from RPI and national seed stuff. But we could help ourselves. We could be a higher seed. We could be a better RPI this week. And, so you want to be playing good this time of year. And I really like where we were this past weekend, and I'm hoping we can keep that going into Hoover. We played good in Alabama this year.
Next, we'll go to John Sokolov.
Chris, how kind of big was it for you to see Houston perform the way that he did and bounce back? And also, who do you think you're going to toss out there on Wednesday if you've gotten that far yet?
Man, Hootie, we were fired up about Hootie. I mean, that was one of the better performances we've had on the mound all year. And he came in and really held that game and pitched great. And he bounced back off his probably worst outing of his career. Really happy for him. And then we don't even know who we're playing yet. So we really haven't. It'll be a matchup type thing for us that we figure out later in the week. We want to watch those two play first.
Next, we'll go to Trey Mongrew.
Yeah, Chris, you kind of touched on it in your in the first question, but just how do you go about managing this pitching staff and managing this tournament as a whole when, like you kind of said, you guys are already in a pretty good position to where I don't think y'all really have to do anything. Y'all probably still have the national seed.
Yeah, I mean, it's well, you never know, number one, that you're guaranteed anything. Somebody could jump up and have an unbelievable week. But the reality is, this tournament's special. I mean, and there's been a lot of kids have special experiences here, and I'd like our kids to go there and play great baseball. And I'd love to be there on Sunday afternoon, taking a trophy home. And so we're not going to, like I said, we do have a lot secured and we have a lot to play for, but this game's about competing, and we get a chance to compete against in the best conference in the country this week. So we're going there. Hopefully we can do some damage.
Kind of following up on that, I mean, how much has this tournament helped you in the past kind of prepare for that postseason? Because, I mean, honestly, the competition you get here is going to be better than what you get in the regionals in a week.
Yeah, it's I've only been to one. We had last year's canceled and all, and my eyes were open the very first night we pulled in. And I probably took a little more laid back approach 2 years ago because we were national seed and everybody said you don't have to do anything. And I got caught up in that stuff a little bit. I'd rather I walk in the opening night and we're starting a freshman against LSU and, the place is packed. And I turned to Scott Foxall on the bus pulling in, like, you sure we can't start Ethan Small? You want to compete and do, and we're not going to push pitchers this week either. But the reality is this means a lot to a lot of people, and we're going to go there and do our best.
Next, we'll go to Robbie Falk.
Chris, we spoke a little bit about this on Thursday, just the season and the run right now that Tanner Allen's having and has a chance today to win a couple of rewards or something like that. Can you just describe what you've seen from him? And we saw him in the outfield make that catch on Saturday. And, I mean, he's a guy that just brings it every single game. What have you seen from him in the last 3 years being able to coach him? And just what kind of player has he been for you guys?
The funny thing about TA is he shows up every day with about the same personality. I mean, he is ready to play. He's ready to go. I don't think I've ever given a speech where he's not nodding his head and looking me in the eye. And, you got a kid that's really, really bought in. And I'm happy for him because, man, last year was tough. Last year was a tough year for him. I mean, he breaks his hand, then we get COVID, then you have to go through the draft and people are telling you all kind of things. And I like what I like about TA is he bet on himself a little bit. He said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove to y'all I'm one of the best players in the country. And that's what he did. And he's put himself in a great spot nationally, but also in the draft. And he's led our ball club every single day. Maybe not always be the nicest guy because, he'll push our team, but he is a diehard Bulldog, man. He bleeds it. And he is a perfect kid to play here in this program because of the way he plays, the way he goes about his business.
Next, we'll go to Joel.
This wasn't really my question, but kind of following up on Robbie's real quick. If TA last year had the season went on as normal, would he have been able to come back from that broken hand? Would he have gotten in there late in the year?
I doubt it. The only reason I say possibly yes is because it's TA, and he would probably play through something or like that, but he was going to be out for a long time. So he was still, when we got back in the fall, having to still rehab and do. So that was a pretty tough break he had last year.
And my actual question, I guess, as you get into regional play and super regional play, obviously you'd love to have that third starter there. You're probably going to need that at some point. How big is that over the course of the next week to try and figure that out? And, obviously Jackson's kind of had some issues and Houston didn't have the best of starts against Missouri. Are you just kind of content with maybe finding an opener there to get to Houston or somebody? Or what's kind of your plan there for that third spot?
Well, you're never content. You'd love to have three starters. I mean, that's starting pitching is one reason is when we have great past weekends, we got great starting pitching from our first two guys, but maybe we find it here this week during the tournament. Maybe it gives us an opportunity to start somebody else and get going. I do think we've won a lot of Sundays this year because we have kind of had, not that Jackson was an opener, but he kind of was. He'd kind of go one time through the lineup for us, maybe two. We're able to pass it to Hootie and make some things happen on Sunday. So we've had some success with that because of the depth. But I'd like to be able to find somebody.
Next, we'll go back to Steve Robertson.
Chris, if you will, let's just speak about the quality of the league this year. I mean, going to potentially have 4 top 8 national seeds, and then Arkansas wins every series to win the league because that's what it required this year. Because normally 20 wins the league, and that's where you guys are, and you finished tied for second. I mean, how good is the SEC this year?
It's been, man, it's just been a long year. It feels tougher probably because we've had to fight through all the COVID pieces and everything else. And you the fear of things, not making it all the way through, even though you give our league credit. I think we got all our games in besides weather related. Arkansas, man, they put together an unbelievable year. I mean, they came to our place and did it. They went to Ole Miss and did it. They just had a really good year. And then it's the Tennessee's had a great year. I feel like the two of us are probably really similar in resumes. Vanderbilt obviously has been really good this year. I mean, and then, man, it's that middle group I think is really tough because they could, there's some really good teams, out there. I mean, that we could run into, and there's just so much more depth of the league. I mean, you look across RPI nationwide. I mean, we went to Arlington first week of the season, and we put it on the line that weekend. And we were the only ones who lost the game. We lost the game to TCU there late. But our league is, man, we've played everywhere, and I think it shows, in the competition level in our league right now.
We'll go back to Trey Mongrew.
Chris, when it comes to playing in Hoover, do you talk to your players at all about maybe tweaking the approach a little bit at the plate because of how big the park plays?
No, I mean, we do talk about the way the park plays from a defensive aspect. We probably talk more about how the park plays because the ground gets hard and the ball starts bouncing in tournament play. And that's probably where we get more talking about it. We never sit there and talk about hitting it out anyway. So there's some teams in our league who do. We're not that. We're usually more of a gap team and line drive team. So it probably fits our offensive approach a little bit more. But it's more about the ground and stuff. And then, it depends on you playing that night game where a ball seems to never go anywhere, or if it's a really windy, day in your face, then you may have to make some adjustments.
We'll go to Robbie Falk next.
Coach, every now and then somebody will come in late in the season and just really provide a spark that you weren't counting on early in the season. And that's kind of been what Kellen Clark's done the last few weeks. He's come in there and just got you some big hits and barreled the ball up. And just looks like it's clicking for him. I think we talked a little bit about this last week. And I think you mentioned Gotrode really started to see some things from him in the cage. What kind of clicked for him this year to start helping you out late in the year?
I think they got rid of – he had a lot of lift early on, just a lot of lift, trying to lift, and made him a little late to everything. And I think Goat was able to cut that out some and keep him a little taller. And then, boy, he started getting on time. And then him being on time, if he's on time and it hits the barrel, man, there's a lot of good things can happen because he hits it. You know, there's just a lot of force generated in that big body. So Kellum's worked his tail off all year. You got to give him a lot of credit of nose to the grindstone, and wasn't in the lineup and was kind of out for a while. And he, just came to the ballpark and worked. And that's usually what happens is you get some guys, you need some guys to get hot for you late in the year to help your lineup out.
If I can follow up on that, it seems like with Scotty getting things going too, the bottom of the order kind of turns over a little bit, and you're getting some production down there. And, at times this year it hasn't been as productive, but it just seems like you're starting to get those guys going. How big has it been to stack Scotty and Kellum there in the bottom to get you some momentum and turning the lineup over again?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think we're seeing that in the game right now. Pitching's a little bit ahead of the offense. Just you look at the big leagues, you look at the colleges, and the length of lineup gets to be pretty tough. And on weekends when our backside of our lineup produces and contributes, man, we're really good. And in some weekends it doesn't. Then we can struggle at times because you're giving up some free innings and it gets to be frustrating. But we're seeing that as we're scouting and watching teams across our league too. It's just, right now for some reason, I know the pitching's just made jumps over the last couple of years, and hitters are just a little tougher. You don't see as many 300 hitters. You don't see as many teams hitting 300. I feel like all of us are in that 270 to 285, area. It seems like a lot of the country sits in. So, but it's nice to have those guys at the back end and contributing. And, I thought one of the biggest hits of the weekends was Lane Forsythe, giving us a big hit there and when Lane's hitting and he's on in front of Rowdy and Tanner and those guys, I mean, that's special that we can score a lot of runs.
All right, we will wrap things up with Joel Coleman.
Chris, obviously coming into the year, Eric was expected to be a humongous part of the team, and things just didn't work out as well as he and I guess everybody would have hoped. And just kind of wondering, going into Hoover, do you kind of look for a chance to maybe get him out there and maybe see what you can get out of him here towards the end of the season, and maybe we've seen folks before kind of step up in Hoover and end up playing a big part down the stretch. Is that something that you might could foresee happening? Maybe get him an inning or two out in Hoover.
I lost you at the very beginning. Who are we talking about?
Eric Sarantola.
Yeah. I definitely could see that happen. Something has to happen for you to win this tournament usually, right? I mean, in terms of you need an extra arm or two, to be able to play those handful of games just a little bit more in a week, and it's on top of each other. So I definitely could see Eric jumping in a spot and helping us out. He's had a couple good outings here of late, and tournament baseball, it'd be nice to be able to get him out there. Maybe, especially his velo, and tired bats may really be a good matchup at some point. He pitched good here 2 years ago, and he hadn't pitched good most of the year that year and came out and threw really good. So that could be a possibility here.
Great. Thanks, everybody.